navigate a hydroplane, do you A, apply the brakes, B, steer into it, C, scream uncontrollably,
Don't cheat.
pull the
You
emergency
actually need to know this stuff.
It's driving. Anyone can drive.
Did you study for the geography test yet? A cheat sheet. Why didn't you just learn it?
When am I ever gonna need to know South American geography?
So for $1 million, the capital of Uruguay is. The capital of Uruguay is.
Uruguay City?
You know we're required to learn this for the trip, right?
Huh?
Spanish. It's required for the trip.
All you need to know how to say is, where's the bathroom? Donde el baño?
Yeah.
Si resuelve este enigma, yo no mataré a su amigo. Si resuelve este enigma, yo no mataré a su amigo.
Donde es el baño?
Dude, you ready?
Shark Week.
No, I have to study for this bomb test.
Boom. No, you don't.
I got the answers.
Sweet.
A, B, A, D, D, C.
Shark Week. What are we gonna do?
I don't know. All I remember is A, B, A, D, D.
Thanks for that.
Shark Week. This is your fault.
I can't feel my brain.
Hey, greetings, Family of Christ Cross Training students. Today's online lesson. Thank you for joining us. We're on Unit 1, Lesson 9. Our topic today is the Seventh Commandment, which happens to be, you shall not steal. Make sure you're ready today for running through the session. You'll need to have the handout below if you don't already have it. You can print it out on the Resources tab below. Just click on that, see the student handout, print it off at home and follow along. On the back side, you'll find a discussion page that you'll do with your family as well. Well, as you saw that video, it reminds you, we're going to talk about how even things such as cheating can violate this commandment. So not only stealing about what we might think of as theft or burglary, but it includes some other things that we take that we don't really have access to or don't have a privilege to. And we'll explore some of those different things. Again, like that video, cheaters never win, stealers never win. It only hurts us and it only hurts others. And we're going to dig into what God says about that. So lesson focus for today is this, that as Christians we rejoice in and look after the earthly goods that God has given us and our neighbor for the support of daily life. If you remember, God is the creator of all things. He made you and me, but He made this world bounteous. That means it provides for what we need. He loved us that much that He didn't leave us without providing for us. So God has given us a variety of different means to meet our needs for day-to-day living. But we have a unique role as Christians, as God's people, to be caretakers, to help ensure that the goodness of this earth and the bounty of the earth gets to the people that it needs to, including ourselves. So we're going to dig into this a little bit. And so let's start out with looking at key point number 1, which asks the question, what is the seventh commandment? And so let's, again, it's you shall not steal. And what is the meaning to this? It is simply we should fear and love God so that we do not take our neighbor's money or possessions or get them in any dishonest way, but help him and improve and protect his possessions and income. So again, like all the other commandments, there's both the things that we shouldn't do and the things that we ought to do. So here, we're not to take our neighbors, we should not take our neighbor's money, possessions, or in any dishonest way. That means scheming. But what we are to do is to help protect our neighbor by improving their situation, protecting their possessions and income and means of making a living. So the things that we ought to do and the things that we shouldn't. Key point number 2 asks this question, why are earthly goods such as money and possession important? And so why does God want to protect them? Well, it's pretty obvious, but let's see what God's word says here. You caused this from Psalm 104, you caused the grass to grow for the livestock and the plants for man to cultivate. that he may bring forth food from the earth, and wine to gladden the heart of man, oil to make his face shine, and bread to strengthen man's heart. So again, God provides a world that is able to produce, whether it's crops or other things that we can harvest for our, not only for our survival, but also for our well-being, and as you can see, even for our enjoyment as well, to gladden our hearts. So why are earthly goods important? Well, first of all, here it is. They are the gifts by which God provides for our own and our neighbor's needs and the enjoyment of life. So God, again, cares for us. He loves us, and so he wants to provide what we need day to day. And stealing inhibits it. It gets in the way of God's plan in this world to provide for people and their needs and enjoyment. Question number 3 asks us, how do we love God and other people in keeping the Seventh Commandment? So let's look at this by not taking God's earthly gifts from our neighbor in such ways. So we're going to explore some different ways that we can steal. And so the first one is A, by stealing our neighbor's possessions and money. So that's probably the obvious one. Stealing includes burglary, theft, shoplifting. So it's taking away possessions and money. And possessions also, we'll explore a little bit here. It's more than just tangible things, if you will, not just things that you can grab and run. It can include other types of possessions that may include thoughts or ideas and so forth. So we'll talk about that a little bit. B is that being lazy or sloppy when working as employees. So that one might say, well, how is that stealing? Well, if you think about it, when we're working for a company or for business and we're not doing our work, we're not doing what's expected of us, or we're doing it poorly, we are getting still paid for that job. So in a sense, we're stealing the money and the resources from a company or business and taking advantage of that. We're not providing the services that was agreed on. So as Christians, we're called to be good workers, to do quality work, to be an example of that. And you might be thinking, well, I don't have a job right now, but in reality, our schools, most of you are in school right now, school is maybe your work. And so doing quality work, not being lazy with our school work as well. C is acquiring goods by dishonesty, fraud, taking advantage of others. So this commandment also includes things such as scheming or being devious to get certain things. Again, it's getting, whether it's possessions and money or ideas, in dishonest way by scheming, and that still is a form of theft as well. So we also could even get into talking about cheating would probably come under that too, as we are stealing ideas or thoughts. That would be an example of dishonest means of getting items. So question number 4 has this question: we fear and love God by looking after our neighbor's well-being, by helping protect and improve our neighbors' earthly possessions, again, just to make sure it's clear, the earthly possessions, but it also includes things such as income and livelihood. So we want to protect our neighbor's ability to have a job, to be able to have income and resources and livelihood. And sometimes even like cheating can be an example of stealing away opportunities from other people. And so we want to protect our neighbor and their means of even making a living as well as their possessions. And then number 5, what else is considered to be our neighbor's possessions? Like I mentioned earlier, it can be more than just tangible things. So let's look at this. It can include A, which is intellectual property, such as ideas and writings. That includes copyright violations, patent infringement, plagiarism. Again, cheating could come under this too, as you're stealing maybe answers. That would be an example. Intellectual property means things that are in people's heads, their ideas, and creative ideas. Writings, so that would be an example of plagiarism, when we take somebody else's writing and we put our name underneath it, we claim ownership of that. That would be stealing their ideas as well, or intellectual property. This one is interesting. So this next one, B, is music, software, movies, and personal information. So online piracy, computer hacking, or identity theft. Now, 30 years ago when I started in youth ministry, this wasn't really around. Everything was in a tangible form. So music was on cassette tapes, and movies were on VHS tapes, and software was all on a tangible item as well. And so, but today you can get those things online, right? Through the internet. And we're able to pull, whether it's music or movies, from the internet. Doing that without permission or without purchasing those items, we're actually stealing even though it's not a tangible thing, we're stealing those without permission. So it's a big deal, and sometimes we don't think it's a big deal because everybody's doing it. Everybody's downloading music. That still doesn't make it right. And when we do that, we are stealing from the artists, the people that work hard to provide and to create those things, and we're taking them without their permission. It's still stealing. Same thing with movies. Again, it can be cheating on tests, getting the answers from them. And then even lately, it's been about identity theft. That's stealing people's identity online for personal gain that they don't have permission for. So theft has become definitely more complicated today in the world that we live in because of the internet. But as Christians, we need to have integrity, which means both in person and what we do behind closed doors that people don't see. All right. Number 6 asks this question. I like this. How does God provide for us and others with our earthly goods? Again, God is protecting our goods and means of making a living through this commandment, but how does he provide for us? Look at Psalm 65, verse 9. It says, you visit the earth and water it. You greatly enrich it. The river of God is full of water. You provide their grain, for so you have prepared it. Again, a reminder that God provides for us through this amazing world that we live in. But as people of God, we have a special job, and that job is to be a caretaker. We are given gifts and ability to harvest, to utilize the resources of this world responsibly, which means that we don't waste, we don't do vandalism, we don't destroy God's creation without a worthwhile purpose. So what does he provide for us? How does he provide? A is through the bounty of the earth, and that's why we need to be mindful, good stewards of this amazing earth that we live in, that we are careful in how we access the resources, and to ensure that everybody is able to access that as well. So we protect the earth and the means by which it creates and produces in our world. And then, but also through the vocation of parents and family and neighbors. So vocation means certain positions or certain roles that we play in this world. And so God has given us parents, thank goodness, that provide for us and care for us. I just recently became a grandpa. My new grandson definitely needs parents to provide for his needs. He's given us family, extended family, brothers and sisters that we can support in each other. Neighbors, which includes our friends and those that we have around us to work together to ensure that God supplies the needs for all people. And then C is that through our jobs and careers. So God gives us not only intellect, wisdom, knowledge, he gives us gifts and abilities, a variety of things that you guys can do that I can't do. God has created us with different gifts and different talents so that we have a means by getting a job and working and being productive as a means to make a living for ourselves and for our family and to provide for others. God is good through that. And then finally, question number 7 asks us, how shall we use our own earthly goods? So here again is talking about that idea of being caretakers or stewards. And so we are to be good stewards of God's created gifts so again, this is our responsibility to be careful in the resources that God has given us. So first of all, our family is provided with shelter and food, education and health care. So maybe parents can recognize or relate to this a little bit better, but he's given us the ability through our families to provide for the needs of our family. And someday you'll be having to navigate that as well. So how do I provide both a home, food, education, etc. for our family? So God has given us the means to do that. So we want to be good stewards of that, not take it for granted. And then B is others, especially the poor, benefit from our grateful use of what God has given us at home, in church, as neighbors, and as citizens. This commandment talks about how we are to care for others. So some people might have different disadvantages in this world. And so for those that are able, we can help those less fortunate. It's a calling and it's a great privilege to serve those that are in need. A little bit, we're going to watch a video about some young men that took this initiative and put it into action in a pretty cool way. And then C is through the church. So the church has resources it needs for the proclamation of the gospel. And so here at Family of Christ, we're a community of believers, and the resources we give through our offerings is given to expand the gospel, to share the good news, not only here at Family of Christ, but into our community and to our world. And so the gifts that you share with the church help to share the good news of Jesus with others. That's another special way that we can use the gifts that God has given us. And then finally, through all creation prospers under the care for the land, water, and air. Again, that we are to be good stewards. We're not to be destructive or to cause vandalism, if you will, not only to man-made objects, but also to our world, to the living world that we live in, that we're to be careful not to waste the resources that God has given us as well. Well, those are some great examples of how we can be good stewards or caretakers of God's gifts. I mentioned a little bit ago that I want to share a story about 3 young men that came to the conclusion they wanted to live a better life. They wanted to be more mindful of the needs around them rather than just themselves. And you'll see the difference. Not only did it make in the community, but what difference it made in their hearts as well. So check out this video, and we'll see you back in a bit.
I had just moved here from Tennessee and came here for my freshman year of high school, and I got here and I didn't know anybody. I didn't know really what to do, and I was kind of just lost emotionally, I guess, and I was really judgmental of other people.
I was broken and I was lost and I was confused. I didn't know how God could possibly love someone like me. Someone who's done so many bad things, someone who's hurt a lot of people.
I was just kind of going through life, just going to church and Sunday school and stuff like that. Not ever really grasping what it meant to be a Christian and what Christians did. All I knew was they went to church and went to Sunday school and just did what everyone told you to do, so that's what I did.
I just pretty much gave God one day and said, okay, God, Sunday's your day and you can stand in that little box. Just please don't interrupt my social life.
We read Donald Miller's book, A Million Miles in 1,000 Years, and it was Paul talking about how to live a better story. And first, I didn't know what that meant.
You know, I just started reading the first few pages and I could not stop. It really made me want to just get up and do something for God. I think that from that moment on, my spiritual life has grown in extraordinary ways.
It kind of just opened my eyes to see that we're not meant to just sit idle and just go to church and stuff, but we're meant to be out sharing the Word of God.
So I just had the random idea, what if we bring pastries down to Brookfield Park every Saturday morning over the summer? And they were like, yeah, that's a good idea.
We were all pumped. We had been planning this for weeks, and we get out here and we get one guy. The moment that he sat down at our table, that was when I knew that this is what we needed to be doing.
And then we moved it downtown to the square where a lot of the homeless population is. It's completely grown from giving food to 1 to 2 people a week to having like 80.
And we know what's going on in their life, and they know what's going on in ours, and we can just interact with them at a very personal level. And I never expected to have that relationship with a homeless person.
They always come up and hug us and stuff like that, and just them giving us a hug just shows to us like that's totally worth it.
A lot of people start loving God and then they get involved in ministry, but I got involved in ministry, and through that I started to love God. It's really changed me from the inside out.
Before, we were just a bunch of friends who would, just all 3 of us go hang out at someone's house, maybe watch a movie, sit around all day, and now it feels like we have something to do. We have something. What'd you do this weekend? Well, I actually, did something that affected more than just myself.
All right, isn't that awesome to see? I just love seeing young people making a big impact in this world. And like in 2 Timothy, he says, Paul says to Timothy, don't let anybody look down on you because you're young. Young people can make a huge impact in this world, and I encourage you to find ways, whether big or small, to make the world better by loving God and loving others. Again, our heart knowledge today, so I want you to memorize the Seventh Commandment. It's really long. You shall not steal. I think you guys got that. Make sure you remember that it's the Seventh Commandment. Make sure you also understand the meaning, which is that we should fear and love God so that we do not take our neighbor's money or possessions or get them in any dishonest way, but help him to improve and protect his possessions and income. And then today, as you wrap up your key points here, make sure you gather together with some family members. Make sure at least one parent's there. And you'll go through the discussion page here. There's some activities to do, some Bible verses to look up. So run through that, and then make sure you do your memory work. You gotta have a parent sign off on that. And then when you're done with this whole sheet, have a parent sign off that you completed it. Bring it back, and we'll give you credit for today's lesson. So again, thank you for joining in with this online lesson today. And God bless you, and may God bless you as you share and use those amazing resources that God has given to us. God bless. We'll see you all next week.